so I'm back with my Scott Sunday stock watch list. Want to dive right into this real quick. We got big retail earnings this week with Home Depot, Lowe's, Kohl's, Walmart, BJ, etc. There's a ton of retail numbers going to be out this week, and it's going to show, the healthy spending that we have in our economy, which could hurt tech because it could show signs of rising inflation. But anyways, one thing I want to look at is the SPY. The SPY bounced crazy, gapped up from Thursday to Friday after the big recent sell-off from 422 all the way down to 403. That was a crazy sell-off, and those are two pretty bloody days at the beginning of the week last week. But this little gap up showed no signs of weakness, and now I'm looking at this 418 break. If SPY can break 418, we can see 420 very easily, and then anything of 420, I'm expecting anything above 420, I'm expecting to test near all-time highs of 422. So SPY is high on my watch list, especially if Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart are performing very well, which kind of leads me right back into low. I want to do Lowe's. This is big on my watch list this week. Be careful with a lot of things. Our bear flags this week. Things are moving. These big fat candles, that just means a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty. So where I'm looking, if I'm going to go into the downside, I'm probably going to buy puts at this 197.30 area where it tested previously on Friday. It actually ended red. It was one of the only red stocks last week on Friday, and that and Home Depot on my watch list at least. There wasn't very many on the red side, but basically I'm looking at this on this 197, probably 50 mark, maybe 197.35 is where I would probably enter into some puts to ride all the way down to this 195.50. A $2 move in Lowe's could make you a lot of money, and if you're buying in put options. On the call side, if they run up before earnings, I'm going to look at this 204 break. This 204 break could send this right to above 205, and then anything above that, I could see 208 happening, 207. And Lowe's does run. When it's green, and it runs all day. So be patient with those ones. They're not very fast reversals. They're pretty safe since it's in the S&P. So I'm expecting SPY and Low to move pretty similarly. It didn't really move that way last week, but it was also on a crazy up spree for the longest time. If you can see all the way from down here to 150, all the way up to 215. So it's correcting a little bit. So I'm looking at this bear flag that's got going on right now, but there's also earnings this week, and that could mean big numbers, or it could be priced in. So watch this one. Those are the numbers for that. I'm also looking at Square. I love Square, big stock, but it has a huge downtrend. Played earnings were great, but it's one of the tech sectors that haven't been sold. It's one of the tech stocks that have not been sold off yet, and a lot of them have been sold off recently there's a market correction and inflation fears and multiple different things that's going on in tech. They think there's a bubble, and this is one stock that hasn't gotten hammered. I signaled this on my Twitter. If you follow the Twitter, right around this range, that this is going to get slaughtered in the near future, and boom, it did. Tried to play some earnings for the nice run up. The earnings were great, but it continued with that downward pressure, and it had a great Friday, but it also is bear flagging. So I'm looking above this 208, 210 price for a little bit of a reversal. Hopefully this is the bottom, but below this 191 or 192 price, it's going to get really ugly. And this could be a bear flag, and it could send it lower. So I'm looking at Square around this 191, 192. Also this $200 break. If it breaks 200, it's going to see a lot lower. And that's not a good sign for Square, because this could go much, much lower. So I'll probably buy puts around the $200 break if it doesn't bounce, and I'll probably ride them all the way down to this 191. If it gets lower than that, it's going to get really ugly for Square. I think this is a great company long-term, but it is under some scrutiny. So I like that, and I like the 210 price on the call side. I'm not too confident on the call side for this one, just because of the chart setup. It's not a lot of showing me that, other than Friday, that this has a clear bottom in yet. But that leads me into SE. SE has earnings this week. SE is going to kill it, just like Square e-commerce. They're big in Latin America now, and they're making a big impact as a competitor against Meli. So Latin American e-commerce and mobile payments. They're big in fintech down there as well. So they're breaking into that market, and I think they're going to kill earnings. But there's also in this downtrend and a bear flag. So I'm looking. If it breaks below this 207, I'll probably buy some puts to touch this 199, 200 mark. Below this, it gets really bad, but I do like calls above 223, and then it'll move to 228. This is a stock that reverses quickly, so make sure when you're in on this one, around the first hour and a half, this one starts to sell off and go and reverse on you if it's not a clear uptrend during the day. But I like calls above 223, maybe even 220-ish. and riding them all the way up to 230. But I also like the put side at the 207 mark. This 207 mark, I like puts all the way down to this 200 mark. If it breaks below this, it's going to get really ugly for SE. Same with Square. So could be a dead cat bounce on a lot of these, which is a chart formation on a bearish trend on a lot of these daily charts. But I really like SE for earnings. So I'll probably end up swinging those and taking a little bit of a gamble play on that. So we have SPY, we have Square, we have SE, we have Low, and I really like Walmart. Walmart is another one I wanted to show you. It's more of a safe play with a lot of things that are happening this week. Not a lot of volume. It probably won't make a ton of money, but I want to show this just to get it out there. Anything above this 140 mark, it could run up to this 141, which is only $1 move, $2 move, but it's a very safe play, and they have earnings this week, and this will follow what the SPY does just based off the retail numbers alone. And last but not least, I want to show you Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs got sold off pretty crazy along with the correction last week at the beginning. But then it didn't look back. And it has this all-time high at 376 here. So what I'm looking for is anything above this mark right here. I'll probably buy in around like 370, the 370 price. I'll buy some calls and ride them up to this 373. If it goes right through this, I wouldn't be surprised if this does all-time highs again. But anything below this 363 mark, I'd probably buy in some puts because the 363 has a nice gap all the way down to 361 to 360 to 359. So put side below 363, call side looking for this 370. 370 I'll buy calls, and then I'll buy puts around 363 on Goldman Sachs. So wanted to keep this one brief. SPY looking good over here. It has a clear reversal with the retail numbers coming out. We have the vice president chairman speaking tomorrow, so be careful with that one. Facebook, huge recovery that had on Friday as well. So that's an honorable mention. But Square, SE, bear flags, looking pretty bearish on those. And lows, I would definitely keep on the watch list. Low, SPY, Walmart, Goldman Sachs, and keep Square and SE. SE 100% for their earnings this week, and Square for that bear flag. Because if it breaks down, those put sides will pay you a lot of money. Hope that helped, and hope you guys can make a lot of money this week.